Have you heard about the water shortage in our area?
Yeah, it's pretty serious. I've been trying to conserve water as much as possible.
Me too. I've started taking shorter showers and turning off the faucet when I brush my teeth.
Well, that's great. Another way to save water is to fix any leaks in your house.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. How much water can a leak waste?
A small leak can waste up to 20 gallons of water daily, which can really add up over time.
Wow, that's a lot. And have to check for any leaks in my house.
But another good tip is to only run your dishwasher and washing machine when they're full to save water and energy.
I'll keep that in mind. It's important that we all do our part to conserve water, especially during this shortage.
Absolutely. Every drop counts.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Water Services Department. Learn more at water.gov.kn.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On The Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On The Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
Listens to
WINN FM 98.9.
WINN FM 98.9.
Nevis. Good evening, Leeward Islands. Good evening to you in the OECS. Good evening to you throughout the entire Caribbean. And good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever you have, wherever you are. We say that to you in the diaspora. If you're hearing us on Mars or Jupiter, so much the better. As WINN FM, we are looking back at the competition from miles ahead. Welcome to another edition of On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. I am Troy Bif Mills, your host. It is indeed a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here again with you for yet another week. It is Tuesday, the 8th of April. Wow. The first quarter of the year went by poof, and now the first third is going. And we're hoping to have some very important information to you. We're going to be having two guests, and both of them will be coming in via the technology. We are going to be having Mr. Samuel Spencer. He is the chairman of the Leeward Islands Cricket Board's Selection Committee. He is also the talent identification scout for Cricket West Indies and the coordinator of cricket for the Leeward Islands Cricket Board. He's going to be coming in anytime soon, about 7:15 or thereabout. And then at about 8 o'clock or so, we're going to be having an interview, a pre-recorded interview with Mr. Colin James. He's out of Trinidad and Tobago, pardon me. He is working at JTV6 in Jamaica. He was in charge of the PRO at the Cricket West Indies a few years ago. A very versed sports journalist, a journalist period. He is a senior journalist, and he will be joining us via a pre-recorded interview. We say thank you, and we give thanks to him for making himself available. Just give me a second there. Let me just do some adjustments. And we're going to have a good program. A lot of football, cricket. Talking about cricket, the Cricket West Indies, they are having the regional 4-day competition, and that is going to be a situation because we're going into round 7, and it's all to play for in this round. Trinidad and Tobago in second place. They are hosting the defending champions and the leaders at this stage, the Guyana Harpy Eagles and the winner is simple. The winner of this match going home with all the cookies, all the cherries. Whoever wins, that is it. They are the 2025 champions. Barbados, on the other hand, in third place, they are coming here to Warner Park to play against the Leeward Islands, and Leeward Islands in fourth. Leeward Islands, they are out of the championship. They cannot win. However, Barbados has just an eeny-weeny, toonsy-peeny chance of winning. But they have to start with defeating the Leeward Islands outright in the first instance. And here at Warner Park, I'm not certain when last a team won outright here at Warner Park. Hey, and we're thinking about perfect weather. So Barbados, they don't have their destiny in their hands. They will have to rely on other things, and really, of those other things, it's really just one option. And no result between Trinidad and Guyana. I'm not so certain I could see that happening from where I'm sitting now. What a no result means, for example, whoever wins the toss, bat for 2 days, 2 days and peace. And, well, they could bat for a day and a piece as well. However, let's use 2 days, plus or minus some, all out. And the second team going in come Saturday afternoon, 5 o'clock-ish at the end of play. They haven't surpassed. They are still batting. They have not been all out. They haven't surpassed whoever batted first. So then we have a no decision, 4 points apiece, and that is how Barbados will have a chance of winning this 4-day championship. How likely is it to happen? So I am not too certain. However, cricket is a funny game that will always go either way, especially with the weather. The fourth man the 13th man, as I normally say, weather stepping in. But we're hoping for beautiful rain. And we have local football, First Division, Premier Division, all kind of things happening. We have basketball, youth basketball, that is climaxing. But we have at about 7:15, we expect Mr. Spencer, Samuel Spencer, to be joining us at any time just now, anytime soon. And we remind you, 869-668-2055 is the number. Obviously, if you're overseas, you're prefixing with 869. However, 466-0989. That is the number to call. And you'll get us, as well as numbers in Canada, numbers in the UK, and local numbers. UK numbers are 033-344-0065. In the USA, you can call 718-285-6944. And for Canada, you call us at 305-921-4619. Again, the local number 466-0989. If you're calling from within the Caribbean, you call, prefix that with 869. Or if you're like me, shy, and don't like to speak too much in public, etc., nobody believes I'm really shy, then you can send me a WhatsApp, 668-2055, and you prefix that with 869 if you're outside of St. Kitts and Nevis. So let us first go to football on the local scene, as I expect Mr. Samuel to be calling me at any point in time. We have 7 rounds have been completed in the Premier Division so far, and all kind of things happening in the Premier. The defending champions, SL Horsford St. Paul's United, they are working their way up to the top. There's a song by the Spinners, I'm working my way back to you, girl. But St. Paul's United, the defending champions, the President Cup champions, they are inching themselves up to the top. Security forces, they are finally, well, I wouldn't say finally, Mantab, they're finally off the bottom, and the security forces has dropped there. They have a perfect record, security forces. They lost all 7 matches. Not only that, so that means they haven't got a point. They are still on a comb, and more so, somehow, I don't know, maybe I should go and play for them, and I might be able to score a goal, because they haven't scored a goal as yet. So they have a comb when it comes to the points. They have a comb when it comes to scoring goals. Mantab, they drew with Sandy Point recently, so they got a point and crawled themselves off of the bottom of the table. They've drawn 1 match. They have lost 6. 2 teams on 7 points. Sandy Point, Jones Group Sandy Point, they've won 2 matches, drawn 1, and lost 4, same as Bath. However, the difference is in the goals. Sandy Point, they have scored 16. They have allowed 8 to be scored on them. So they have a goal difference of, that should be 8. Bath United, Hot Springs, Tropical Springs, Bath United, they have the same, winning 2, drawing 1, losing 4. They've scored 10 goals and they've given up 2, so they have a goal difference of -2, a better goal difference than Sandy Point's -8, so they are 7th. Montreal Farms, Clean White United, Odo Jets, they are in 6th, winning 3, drawing 2, losing 2. They have 11 points, and I'm feeling a little bad, because I made some predictions in 2023, yes, about Old Road and Bath, and they're somehow not living up to, let me put it another way, coming close to the predictions I made. I said both of them will be in the playoffs, if not last year, this year, definitely if not this year, next year. Last year, Old Road was in the playoffs. I also said between then and next year, Godspear, one of them will win the championship. Of course, that can still happen. And I said by then and 2027, is it Godspear, or 2028, both of them would have won the Premier League. Why I said that? for the past few years, they've been improving steadily. They've had this initial, in essence, the same crop of players, and they are striving, gelling well. And at one point for Old Road, we have 5 of their players on the national team on the field in the 11. So I am thinking that both of them are going to be there, but this doesn't say it at the moment. In the 5th position, we have St. Peter's on 12 points. They've won 4. They've lost 3. The defending champions, SL Horsford's, Development Bank St. Peter's. I like to give sponsors their names. SL Horsford St. Paul's United. They are 4th on 13 points. They've won 4, drawn 1, lost 2. Connery, Island Auto Supply Connery, they are 3rd, winning 5, losing 2. They have 15 points. Rams Village Superstars, they're maintaining their slot in the 2nd position still, winning 5, drawing 1, losing 1. They are 16 points. Azul Keon Rockets, they are in the number 1 slot for another season. The only team in the Premiership not to lose a match. Village, they have lost 1. Keon, they haven't lost any as yet. So Keon have 6 wins, 1 drawn match. They haven't lost any, 19 points. And the most prolific scoring team in the Premier, or as I do say, the most offensive team, Rams Village Superstars, with 23 goals. They've scored 23 times. The most defensive team, or the stingiest team in defense. So far, we have Keon Rockets. They've only given up 3 goals. Although Jets, they're not up in points, but they have only given up 4 goals. And Rams Village Superstars, 5 goals have scored on them. In terms of the 1st division, there are 2 matches playing tonight. I'm hoping I'll be able to get some results for you. And who do we have playing tonight? It's a doubleheader at 6 p.m. 607 Construction Lodge Patriots. They are locking horns with KFC Trinity Challengers United. And in terms of where those 2 teams are standing, they've had 6 rounds of matches between them. And Lodge, they're at the bottom with 1 point, the Cellar Dwellers. And KFC, they are in 8th on 2 points. They've had 2 drawn matches. Lodge, they've played 6 matches prior to tonight. They've drawn 1, lost 5. Trinity, they've drawn 2, lost 4. So that is the first match that is on. And in the second match, Honda Newtown United, from round 1, they were leading the tables. At the end of the 6th round, Trans Global Engineering the Eagles put a 3-2 beating on them. So they switched. They was riding second for most of the rounds, so the 6 matches. But then with that victory, 5 matches with that victory, they went to 1. Newtown went to 2. And they will be coming up against Skellig Garden Hotspurs. And Skellig Garden Hotspurs, they are sitting in the 3rd position. They too have been inching up a point. They were 5th. So Garden Hotspurs, one of 2 teams on 13 points. Sadlers, the other. That is prior to, this is at the end of the 6th round. And we have Newtown in 2nd on 15 points, winning 5, losing 1. Dietbe Eagles on 1st with a perfect record before this round, because Sadlers gave them a 3-0 thrashing. I don't know. So Sadlers, they've gone to 16 points, and we'll have to wait and see how these other matches are happening. And I'll be checking in on my guest. But before we go to a guest, I remind you that you're listening to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. I am Troy Bif Mills, your host. I thank you for joining us. And stick and stay, don't go away. Let us go to a little break and get back to you in a few seconds here at On the Ball. And again, you can call 466-0989, or you can send me a WhatsApp at 668-2055. Let us take a break. What's happening in sport? Tune into On the Ball, a weekly talk show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball. Welcome back to another edition of On the Ball here at WINN FM 8.9, heard every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. And if you're celebrating birthdays, happy birthday to you. If you have celebrating anniversaries, happy anniversary. And if you have had a bereavement in the family, we say our condolences on behalf of the management, staff, board of directors of WINN FM 98.9, the news team, and indeed yours truly from the On the Ball and the WINN FM Sports. We have our guest on the line, the first of two guests, and we say good evening, Sam. Welcome to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9.
Good evening to you, Mr. Mills, and good evening to the listeners of this program.
And by now, we should have a special seat here with your name on it, like how you've been on the program so many times. But for persons who may be joining us for the first time, could you please give us a reminder of a little bit about yourself, who you are?
Okay, I'm Samuel Best Spencer. I am chairman of selectors for the Leeward Islands Cricket Board. I'm also a talent ID for the West Indies cricket. And I'm also recently appointed to the Leeward Islands Cricket Board as coordinator of cricket.
Thank you very much, Sam. And just for the listeners to know that you are actually in St. Kitts, you couldn't make it to the studios tonight. Round 7 happening in the regional 4-day competition. Leeward Islands versus Barbados here at Warner Park. That should be a good match. But the championship match, from a statistics point of view, Trinidad and Tobago versus Guyana, 1 and 2 down in Trinidad. And
yes,
is it possible that you could turn down your browser on the internet if you're using that, please, sir?
Okay.
Okay, that sounds a little better. Thank you. Yes, you were saying now, sir?
Yes, indeed. This weekend's or midweek to weekends cricket is going to be rather interesting. And Leewards will have to play their best cricket, you know, to come out on top in order to hold a place in the top 2 or top 3 of the competition.
Are you at liberty to indicate if there are any changes to the Leewards team?
The final decision will be made tomorrow. As you realize, the match starts at 1 p.m.
Correct, it's a
and
day-night match.
given the condition as it is in St. Kitts at the moment, we've got to take those things into consideration. So pretty close to when the toss will be made, a decision will be made on the selection of the final 11 for the Leewards.
We've seen Joel Andrew behind the stumps for the last 2 matches. And I know I personally was wondering if perhaps he shouldn't have been there before. But how have you been assessing his performance so far? We're going to get to the overall performance of the team, but starting with the youngster.
Well, he's not been doing badly behind the stumps. It was something that was thought of early in the season. As a matter of fact, since last year, considerations were given to have him take the gloves, but the situation did not allow for that to happen. This year, given some injuries to the wicketkeeper in Hamilton, he was able to take the gloves for quite a while in one match and actually almost the entire match against Guyana.
How happy are you as chairman of selectors with the overall performances of the Leeward Island players and the team?
I would say that, to be honest, there are situations that we have underperformed, given the caliber of players that we do have. If you look at the strength of the Leewards team, with a Rakim Cornwall sometimes batting at number 9 or even number 10, you would realize that on paper, the Leewards batting is extremely strong. If you look also at the fact that a Justin Graves, a West Indian all-rounder, is batting at times at 7 in the Leewards. So it tells you that our batting strength on paper is there. We have been getting good stats from our openers in Louis and Henry. Also, earlier on, we had a bit of an issue at number 3 when Casey Carty came back. He wasn't scoring the big runs that we expected from him. But given what he's done in the last game in particular, it is very encouraging indeed going into our final game. We look at Kareem Agor, who have shown some improvements over the last few matches. Joel Andrew, unfortunately, although he is considered the premier batsman in the side, he is getting himself out too often, not really playing well in terms of shot selection. But I think he has a job to do in the side. According to the coaches, the specific instructions given to him. He is the Leeward player that goes out there and dominates any bowling. If you were to watch him, he never looks in any sort of trouble at all. The unfortunate thing is that he's not staying as long as we wished at the crease. If you also consider the fact that prior to the last match, he was number 4 in the standings of runs getters in the competition. He did promise me that he would have gotten a century that would take him to the top. Unfortunately, he failed in both innings, got something like 14 and 0. And coming down the line, we have Justin Graves, who, of course, had a century prior, did not score much in this particular game. Hamilton, he has been batting very, very well throughout the tournament. And they hold the sides together very well. He actually can end up as the top run scorer without even having a century in the tournament. so far. And you have other players like Rakim Cornwall, whose batting has gone off the boil a bit. Hayden Walsh Jr., we've not been getting what we're looking for from him in terms of his batting. And normally, Hossein Thomas is what some people would call a rabbit, but he's told me that his batting has improved. And we saw that in the Jamaica game where he had brought first innings win for the Leewards, and the Leewards went on to win that game outright. So in terms of the strength of the batting, it is there. The bowling, as you know, we have Mr. Alzari Joseph, who came into the team after the first two games. O'Shane has been holding his own. Spencer, for his first game, was quite impressive. The left-arm seamer bowled with some pace and accuracy. We also have our spinners in Cornwall, Walsh, Doran. Unfortunately, our spinners have not been at the top of their game, and I think that is one of the reasons why we are sitting fourth in the table at the moment. However, we've been promising good things to the people of the Leewards, and I do hope that the energy, will come out in the game that's coming up tomorrow. As you would have realized that we've lost a Jeremiah Louis because of injury, one of our premier fast bowlers. And Archibald, normally a fixture in the team, is not in form at the moment. He had lost form and hence did not maintain his place in this 11 or even in this particular squad. We also have a Penny Feather, who is an up-and-coming all-rounder. Unfortunately, because of the current structure of the team with Justin Graves as the all-rounder, Penny Feather has not been able to maintain his position, not because of bad performances. I think for a first season, he has done reasonably well. But given the strength of the Leewards team, as we said on paper, and the fact that we select horses for courses, as it is said, he is not able to break into the team on a regular basis. I think he played 2 matches for the season, and we are looking forward, to him growing in stature so that he can maintain a place in the Leewards team. And that's a kind of highlight of some of the players. Doran has lost form in terms of his left arm spin. He left arm orthodox. He is not at the top of his game. He was one of the bowlers last season who bowled the Leewards to many victories. But of course, in selection, given the nature of the competition, you've got to pick players that are in form and players that you think can bring you victory for the Leewards. It's a case that all players are considered, but then obviously you want to put the 11 on the park on the day that you think will bring you the success that is necessary for Leewards cricket.
Indeed, and very well assessed. And if we look quickly at the performances, we have, in terms of the most runs, Jason Hamilton, he's 5th with 477. Joshua De Silva, Trinidad and Tobago, he is 4th with 481, and he has had 3 successive half centuries, a century and a half here at Warner Park. Kevin Imlach, Guyana, the incumbent West Indies wicketkeeper who displaced De Silva, he's ahead of De Silva with 505 runs. Kevlin Anderson of Guyana, he is second with 522. And Jason Mohammed out front with a double century, 1 of 2. He is 552, leading the batters. And perhaps these 4, Jason Mohammed and De Silva, They are part of the reasons why Trinidad and Tobago are in second, and Anderson and Imlach with their batting second and third, part of the reasons why Guyana, they are in the lead. Hamilton, so based on what we're seeing, if we had one or two other Leeward Island batters, probably Leeward Islands would have been higher, second or third. And in terms of the most wickets, and this is perhaps where Leewards is falling, as you rightly assessed, Jamel Warrican, West Indies spinner, he is fifth with 24 points from Barbados. Ali Mohammed of the Guyana Harpy Eagles, he is fourth with 25. Joshua Bishop, the West Indies Academy, 28. He's third. Vasami Pormal, the old veteran, he's still there, still performing. He is second with 28. Kerry Pierre of Trinidad and Tobago, out front by some 9 wickets. He is 37 runs. And all of these basically, speaking to the performances of the various teams. In terms of the best individual scores, Glenn from Jamaica, 140, not out. Kurt Mackenzie from Jamaican Scorpions, 147. Joshua De Silva, Trinidad and Tobago, 152. Jason Mohammed, Trinidad and Tobago, 204, not out. And Craig Brathwaite, 212. In terms of the bowling, Alzari Joseph, the best bowling figures, that is. Alzari Joseph, he's fifth, 6 for 35. Ali Mohammed Guyana, 6 for 17. Joshua Bishop of West Indies Academy, 7 for 85. Redwood of Jamaica, 7 for 72. And Kerry Pierre, the only man to get an 8 for. He is 8 for 27. So you're seeing the all-round performances, coupled, of course, with the fielding. And how would you rate the fielding of the Leewards team compared to last year?
I would say last year was better. I think that this year there has been, quite a few blemishes, and some of them have really cost us dearly. But I'm not really calling down any particular player. But I do think that for the Leewards, we need to put more impetus in our game. We need to show the urgency that is necessary for us to win games. As I said earlier on, man for man, we have just about the best team out there. It's just unfortunate that at times we seem to put things together so well. A typical example is when we dismissed Guyana for 193, and we were in a very good position with 2 wickets down for over 200 runs, and then we falter to score only 358 when we lost our last 5 wickets or our last 6 wickets for about 55 runs.
Yes, 50 something runs.
And it's a case where sometimes I believe we become a bit complacent. That's a game, although it was a fairly good batting strip, that's a game that we should have brought home by just batting maybe another session and scoring some more runs in that first innings, and then turn the pressure onto Guyana. Unfortunately, we did not. If we look back at the Trinidad game, where Trinidad amassed a very large score, and we had a double century opening partnership, and then we fell away badly. Those are the crucial things that really cost us to be in the position that we're in at the moment. And we can look at the game against the Windwards, where we once had the Windwards from 50 odd for 5, and they went on to score over 400 runs due to some blemishes in the field and some not so good bowling, I must say. And I've got to be honest about our performances, because what I do is that from every day's play, when I get home, I run the entire game. Sometimes I'm sleeping at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, because I go through the game again to watch exactly what is happening, on the field of play. So then I have a total analysis of what transpired in all the games. We did well against CCC and against Jamaica, of course, and the academy. But we falter against what some may consider the big guns, Guyana and Trinidad, although we won in first innings against Guyana. For us to have won the championship, which is now a very slim chance here, is that we have to now hope for some sort of miracle in the Guyana Trinidad game, maybe a rain out or something, and that we can get full points against Barbados with a lot of bonus points. That's the only probability in terms of us winning the championship. But all is not lost. One must also look at, performances overall from our players. Louis, has come good on a few occasions. Kadim Henry in his debut, 40 leewards in 40 matches, have done relatively well also. Gore has shown improvement, as I did say. And Joel Andrews, normally, if you were to watch this young man bat, you would just believe that he is amongst the top best batsmen in the West Indies. It's just that he's not staying at the crease long enough, to ensure that he gets the big scores. He has 1 century and about 3 half centuries. And, he could turn some of those scores into centuries very easily. Never in any problem. He is the only batsman that I've seen for this season throughout that never looked flustered, never looked worried at all at any stage of his innings. It's just unfortunate that he normally gives it away.
And I like that choice of words, those choice of words, giving it away, because that seems to be something that I don't think it's unique to Leeward Islands. It's throughout the Caribbean. Our players they're playing some injudicious shots, so to speak, just outside the off stump. And once the bowlers pick it up, they're going to put it there for you. And you should be disciplined enough to just too wide, let it go. And when batsmen are set, they're playing those types of shots. And talking about set, not going on. Batters getting into the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. Some not getting to the halves. You get into the 40s, the 50s, and you're not going on to the century. Notwithstanding, we have had quite a few centuries, in a sense, from number 1 down to about number 8 or thereabout. So that has not been one of our strengths, the batting, in my humble view.
Actually, I did not mention Forbes, who was an addition to the Leeward Islands team during the absence of Casey Carty and Justin Graves. And it is very unfortunate that, we have a player that looks that good, didn't get a big score in terms of 80 or 90 or whatever. I think he had a half century and probably a little lower score. But just his presence at the crease, bowlers have to take note that he's there. And I do hope that we can find a way, next season, to incorporate some of these players, into our final 11. The way I look at it is, if we as a Leeward Islands team can find ourselves in a position in terms of running away with the championship, like after our first maybe 4 games, we are like 25, 30 points ahead of the others. We can introduce some of our fringe players or some of the players who, would just need an opportunity to shine. Because for me, I just want it to be a case where everybody who can, catch the eye of the West Indies selectors can be given an opportunity to play for the Leewards. That is really the goal. Winning the championship, yes, and also producing players that can get into a West Indies A team or West Indies Test team, or even when we play the Super 50, into a West Indies 50 over team. And of course, if I may go on a bit, that we have the breakout T20 coming up soon in Trinidad, and we have introduced quite a number of new players in the Leeward Islands setup. When I say new, new to the sense of representing Leewards in that format of cricket, the shorter version, whether it's 50 overs or T20. Some of these guys have been there for the first time. And what was quite pleasing, I was watching a podcast, and on this podcast, the host has said Leeward Islands, to his mind, have very much the second best rated team for this competition. And, I say yes, second rated, but I see first rated, and I want us to really win this competition indeed.
And that's wonderful. Development. How are we approaching development in the Leeward Islands?
Things are happening, as you would have recognized that last year we played the 50 over competition, which was open to all territories. Unfortunately, Montserrat and St. Martin were not able to field teams in the competition. However, now that we're going to be having a T20 competition coming up in May, the Leeward Islands have decided that we are trying our very best to ensure that all teams are incorporated. So it's a case where there are teams that will merge, like for instance, a Montserrat and a St. Martin. Though both teams may not be able to produce players of the highest caliber to make a stiff competition. So hence, what the board have decided is that they would merge Montserrat and St. Martin, and hopefully by next year, given the stature of the competition, that they would be able to play as single units as more and more players develop. There are going to be 6 teams in that competition, which shows that we are looking at development exposure, because we hadn't had like a T20 competition in the Leewards.
Correct.
So obviously we're putting that in place, and that should come off pretty shortly. At least I think the fixtures are already out. And looking further, we're looking at the under 19s and on the 17s, which comes up next week, starting the 14th, will be played right here in St. Kitts, and that will be exposure for some of our younger players. And from this competition, we will be able to select on the 17s and on the 19s to represent the Leewards in the West Indies competition. Right now in Antigua, we have the under 15s of the Leewards having practice matches, one yesterday, one today, and they will have a rest, and then they will actually have some training on a Thursday and to play 2 practice matches against the Windwards, one on Saturday and the one on Sunday. So as it relates to cricket for the Leewards, yes, we have a development program that is going on for the females. We have Mr. Watley, and also we have the female teams, which are doing very well in terms of their practice sessions. Unfortunately, the Leeward Islands did not do very well in the West Indies competition, but we saw some signs of improvement of some of the players. Hence, what we're doing at the moment is we are dealing with a development program in the territories, and the details of that will be read out very shortly. And of course, Percy Daniels is an integral part of that program also. And from from Nevis, we also have a director who is dealing very much with the females. She manages that aspect of things.
Charlene.
So, yes, that's Charlene. And I can tell you this. We, as a member of the cricket committee also, I can tell you that we are very high on ensuring that we play a lot of cricket. We are very high on ensuring that we put out a development program from the early stage. I think we had a case where the calendar that was put out showed that we will have youths as young as 11 years old, male and female, in our planned academy for the Leewards. So we're not sitting back and we're not hoping or wishing. We are making all the necessary plans and we're putting things in place for things to happen. And these are not just talk, because under my watch, I am not going to sit back idly and see that any of the territories fall behind. We know Montserrat was able to field a team for the competitions and so forth, but they promised faithfully this will happen. I shall be going from territories to territory to ensure that the development of the local cricket takes place, and sooner rather than later, we will see in the Leeward Islands, rise to the pinnacle of West Indies cricket. That is for sure. We are seeking sponsorship. We know it is hard sometimes to get sponsors. So we have to show the sponsors our program. We have to show that we are winning games in the West Indies tournament. We have to at least attract these sponsors through careful planning, proper programs of development for our youngsters. And this is certainly on the way. We are not sitting back idly. We have our office in Antigua now, where the franchise has moved to Antigua, a very efficient lady there who spares no efforts in ensuring that information reach out to all the territories, and that planning is done on a daily basis to ensure that people in the Leewards get all the relevant information. I would like to appeal to those in authorities in the various territories that they need to disseminate the information, more frequently, more readily, more timely, so that people can know what is happening. Because I was amazed that since the 14th of February, the information that went out that there would be the under-19 competition played here in St. Kitts, and there are people who are telling me that they do not know anything about it. That is very unfortunate. So I'm appealing to local associations, whether it's Antigua, St. Kitts, Nevis, Montserrat, or whatever, to get with the program and get all the relevant information out. We have to be the stars of West Indies cricket. The Leewards must lead the way in terms of organization, in terms of performance of our players. I myself will be seeking scholarships, through the efforts of Leewards for some of our players, because we've got to ensure that we twin education and cricket in the Leewards. And I'm appealing to the governments of the Leewards to put their money where their mouth is and put some monies into cricket. Don't sit back and boast that, this player makes the West Indies team, or this player have done this in Leeward Islands cricket, and you're not very supportive. We need the kind of support for the Leeward Islands board and for the local boards and the local players in your territories. For too long, there are neglect as far as Leewards cricket are concerned. Leewards cricket is a vehicle through which we can have Leewards players be known throughout the world. Countries like to boast about players, but yet they're not putting in what they should put in as far as the support necessary. And I will continue to call out governments who do not give the kind of support that they should give to cricket. Cricket can save our youngsters, both male and female. We live in a world where there's so many distractions, where people are moving into bad habits, and we just want to keep our young people occupied in a very good way that they can be good citizens that can contribute significantly to the development of their countries.
You're listening to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. Our guest online is Mr. Samuel Spencer, the chairman of the Leeward Islands Cricket Board. He is also with the man responsible for cricket in the Leeward Islands, and he is a scout for the Cricket West Indies, and we indeed thank him for being available to us. In terms of information, Sam, here in St. Kitts we have had a challenge because even whether it's the female tournament, the West Indies female tournament that was played there, or the international matches that were played last year in December, a lot of our locals are saying, hey, we haven't heard about this, so we're not certain what is going on. That seems to be a challenge, perhaps not only in St. Kitts, but the dissemination of information. And it wasn't until very recently I found out that we're hosting the Under-19 tournament. And I'm a member of the Cricket Association. I know that elections are due. The last time elections were held would have been on the 24th of April 2023. So perhaps they should have been around that time. I'm not seeing or hearing anything to suggest it will be on or about the 24th. However, no doubt it will be sometime shortly thereafter. And that's one of the things I'll always encourage, not only the incoming executive, but all national associations, communication, get the message out. It's important because not only persons on the street will hear that, but your potential sponsors, the corporate community, they will also hear about it. When we look at St. Kitts, forgive me for coming closer to home, we have a test opening batsman, a test player. We've waited some 90 plus years for that. We also have two young ladies on the West Indies Under-19 team, Jazara Claxton and Anelia Weeks. And the general feeling is enough is not being done locally, especially with the females. Female cricket in the Leeward Islands, it is relatively new, relatively young compared to the Jamaicans and Trinidad's, etc., etc. And I think, like you said, we have been making strides. A few more years, we'll probably be rubbing shoulders with them. And the mere fact that Jazara was able to break through to the West Indies Under-19 female team for the last 3 years. And here comes another 15, 16-year-old. And that is a good sign. And we have Kimberly Anthony, I think her name is, from Antigua. She has been showing good promise as well. So it is saying that at least there is something positive happening with our cricket here in the Leeward Islands. Notwithstanding, we may not be receiving enough returns as we expect. But the longest journey begins with the first step.
That's a very valid point. You must make a step in order to be able to complete your journey. And you are pretty much right as far as it relates to the young females. I'm very impressed, I must say, with Claxton, and the other young lady. I'm happy that we are seeing fruits coming out of the many hours put in by Percy, Watley, Charlene, and the others, who have made their contribution to female cricket, particularly all the training that has been done in St. Kitts. What our VP, had said is that one of his main ambition is to ensure that over the next 2 to 3 years, that our cricket, our female cricket in every territory of the Leewards move to a level that we can have at least 2 representatives from each territory vying for places in some level of West Indies cricket. And this is achievable. I can tell you we have a VP who's very passionate about cricket, very passionate about female cricket in particular. And, I had a conversation with him today, which lasted some 48 minutes. And I can tell you, I was just, blown away by the kind of interest, the kind of ideas that he has for Leeward's cricket. And I do believe that, given the opportunity in the next year or two, we will definitely make the Leeward's people proud. We're not giving up on anything. We're not holding back. I certainly know that one of the important things in life is that to have a team around you that is very supportive, because every leader is as strong as the support he can get from his team.
Exactly.
That surrounds him. And that is very important for Leewards at the moment as it relates to the structure of Leewards cricket. And I'm, employing people to realize that if we, as a people of the Leewards, want to see our cricket rise, that we must give the necessary support in some format. Everybody have a role to play. And I would just like to reiterate my call on the governments to have a strong primary school program of cricket, male and female, throughout the Leewards. The investment doesn't have to be extremely large. There are people who are willing to volunteer their time and efforts. Just a little support, just a little more interest shown by those in authorities. And I'm appealing to mainly the politicians. You're there to serve the people. And the kind of service that you must give must be reflected in the lives of the people economically and also from a sporting point of view. I'm very passionate about the development of individuals because, I know that what it cost me to make myself who I am today, the things that I had to go through, maybe on my own in some instances. And when the finances weren't in place in those days, I had to find means of ensuring that I, cut corners, as the old people would say, to ensure the kind of achievements that are necessary. The monies that sometimes are squandered from CIP programs in some of the countries, from other things, other taxes and so forth. Let us see them go into cricket. Make a proper budget for cricket. It is not hard, I think, for a government to raise $1 million a year for cricket in any of our territories. How you go about it, the concessions that you give to some of these investors, ask them to contribute back to cricket or sports in general. That's
Good
one
idea.
of the ways that you can get monies.
Very, very good idea, Sam. And I know you're a very busy man. And before you have a big day coming up tomorrow, before you slip away, we cannot not ask you about the West Indies captaincy. Craig Brathwaite,
It's
he has resigned. Would you be in a position to give a heads up on who you think might be your leading contender?
Because of my current position in West Indies cricket, if I was only talking about Leeward's cricket tonight, I would just say, yes, I would say something on that. But because of my current position and, what will transpire in a month or so from now, or less than a month, I'm really not at liberty to comment, on the captain of the West, or proposed captains for the West Indies at the moment. I just have to ensure that I safeguard, whatever I say and hold things close to my chest at the moment.
I understand that. And, well, as we say locally, colloquially, I was just trying to think. I suspected that would have been the case.
Well, obviously, as human beings, we would have our own opinion. But You wait until individuals sit around a table and, make decisions. I must say that in terms of the captaincy, it is not my call as a talent ID. My call is to identify talent for the West Indies. There are 6 talent IDs in the West Indies who has a talent ID manager to report to, and then we all get together, of course, and the facts found during the course of play and what we think about players and so forth will be passed on to him, and then goes on to the coach, which ultimately will look through the information that we provide, and the analysts and so forth will garner everything, and then the final decisions will be made. And that is how the West Indies team would be selected. I hear people saying that Darren Sammy has the almighty power. That is not really so. I think if they follow what is laid out for West Indies cricket at the moment, you will realize that there are levels before the final teams are selected.
Thank you very much for mentioning that, Sam, because that has been a point of contention. The whole soul, mighty power of Sammy, etc. And but we'll have to wait and see, give the system time to work. Sam, I thank you for making yourself available, and we look forward to having you on the program again, whether in person or via the technology. I know you're always eager and willing, and providing your scheduling allows it, you are going to be making yourself available for us. So we thank you for being here with us tonight. And any final words?
Yes, I'd just like to say thank you for allowing me to be on. And I'd also like to say to the listeners, come out and support cricket tomorrow at the Warner Park. The game starts at 1 o'clock. And also, I would like to remind individuals that on the 14th, there will be the under 19, under 17 Leeward Islands tournament being played here in St. Kitts. And added to that, we also have in Antigua the West Indies under 15 tournament, which starts on the 15th of April. So lots of cricket to be played, and I do hope the cricketing public, I'm appealing to the Kittitians and neighboring islands to come out and support cricket at Warner Park tomorrow evening.
Thank you very much, Sam, and do have a pleasant evening, and we're looking forward to, well, I'm hoping to be at the park tomorrow, God's space, so we hopefully will be able to spend a few minutes and encourage, likewise, I echo your sentiments to encourage us one and all, come down from Nevis and look at the Leeward Islands in their final match for 2025. You're listening to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9 with yours truly, Troy Bif Mills, and we just had on the line one of our regular guests, Mr. Samuel Spencer, out of Antigua and Barbuda. He's a talent ID for the West Indies, Cricket West Indies. He's the chairman of the Leeward Islands Selecting Committee, and he is also responsible for cricket development here in the West Indies, in the Leeward Islands, pardon me. Stick and stay, don't go away. We're going to have a little break, and we will be right back.
98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Tune in to Creative Voices, the ultimate radio call-in program where innovation meets inspiration. Join me, Dr. Sarah Owen, as I welcome.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball. Welcome back to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9 with yours truly, Troy Bif Mills. We have just a little under 45 minutes left, and our next guest, well, it's using the technology. It's a pre-recorded interview we had with Mr. Colin Benjamin. He's from Trinidad and Tobago. He's working at the TVJ in Jamaica, and he's a senior journalist covering journalism on a whole, but especially sports. He was a former employee of Cricket West Indies in charge of the public relations, and we're going to play this interview for you. And we started by asking Colin, normally from a way back when, we had national associations, regional, international, well, especially national, having 1-year terms. That sort of increased to 2-year terms. Recently, the Cricket West Indies, they expanded their terms to 3 years as opposed to 4 years where we are seeing international associations, FIFA, ICC, the International Olympic Committee, etc. And we sort of got his view on the 3-year term of Cricket West Indies. So let's go live. Well, forgive me. Let's go to the recorded interview.
So, but you are correct. If you look at things like the International Olympic Association, FIFA, they tend to do 4-year terms. But I think the Webber report more looked at best practices around global cricket, and the example of New Zealand came out a lot because of how successful they have been on the field in the boardroom.
So before we go to the international scene, we step down to the regional scene. We are about to have the 7th round of the regional 4-day competition starting Wednesday, the 9th of April. There have been 2 breaks, 3 rounds, a 2-week break also, then they played another 2 rounds, and then another 2-week break. What is your view on that? Do you think that model is a good model?
I have so much views on the 4-day competition. I don't know where to start more. So I like looking at every sport. COVID has caused some, I don't want to say long-lasting adjustments, but maybe what would you say, 2 or 3 years away from the full effects of COVID. So I think Cricket West Indies with the 4-day competition, knowing their financial difficulties, have tried to combine the breaks, because again the breaks factor. But the 4-day competition has a problem. 2 weeks ago, Jeff Dujon made a very strong point to TVJ Sports that he doesn't feel that the 4-day competition is the best breeding ground for producing players for the test team. Like, as much as last year we had, as has been termed now, the miracle of Gabba and the miracle of Motan, West Indies still finished pretty much at the bottom of the rankings because of Pakistan. And throughout last year, none of the batters, except Jason Holder, who barely played any test cricket in the last cycle, averaged above 30.
Mm-hmm.
So while we have Shamar Joseph, Jaden Seals doing well as bowlers, we aren't getting runs from batsmen. Craig Bradford has resigned as captain, as much as some of the legends and people are praising him for his commitment to the job. There was already talk around the Caribbean that if Craig could keep his place, he averaged, I think, is under 21 runs for the entire World Test Championship cycle. Like, there's no country in the world that would accept the captain averaging 21. So I don't know what Craig was thinking, but in a lot of ways, he probably saved himself by just asking Cricket West Indies to resign. And I find it interesting that Cricket West Indies as was revealed by President Shallow in last week's press conference, that Craig actually wanted to resign during the Pakistan series and was asked to just delay a bit. So, so as much as the BRICS goes back to a financial and just a legacy of how to manage the 4-day competition post-COVID. When we talk about 4-day competition, the question everyone in the Caribbean should ask is this 4-day competition the best breeding ground for getting guys ready for Test cricket, especially considering after officially becoming World Test champions? Even though I'm not going to write out South Africa, but if you want to place a bet, it's hard to go against Australia.
Well, you touched a very important point I would have asked. You mentioned the home and away series. The question would have been, really, could 7 matches cut it for West Indies to select a 15 to play against the number 1 Australia and England, especially England when they're playing so much county cricket, so much cricket on a whole, and we're playing just 7 matches. But in terms of the performances, when we look at this year's tournament, we have a few persons scoring centuries, basically from 1 down to number 6, 7, 8. And you have 2 double centuries so far in Joshua and Craig, and a few other centuries. And in terms of the bowling department, we have a few bowlers picking up 5-ers. There are 2 6s, I think, a 7 and an 8. So how good a problem, if at all, would these performances pose for the West Indies selectors?
Well, my position, as I've talked about it in the press already, let me just put it this way. I personally, and if people in the media and the fan base think about this objectively, the professional cricket league that was revamped under the president of Dave Cameron, even though the West Indies now calls it the West Indies Championship, is 10 years old right now. If you look at the West Indies performances in Test cricket since 2014, every year it's been getting worse, particularly with the batting group. I was there when former director of cricket Jimmy Adams and CEO Johnny Grave used to talk about West Indies playing more 18 cricket. West Indies we have an 18 series against South Africa coming up before the Australia series, but West Indies haven't played 18 cricket since the Christmas of 2020 when they played 2 games in New Zealand. After 10 years of the 4-day season of the revamp, not bringing the Test team any improvement, objectively, we as a clear guide to players' readiness for Test cricket, unless we see them in an 8-team environment. So right now, I'm not interested in what the players are doing. For the best performing guys, cool, well done to you. But when they play against South Africa, that would be a clear idea of, okay, maybe you're ready to face the best ball attack in the world. That is why, for me, for this Test series against Australia, this is the opportune time for Darren Sammy, and we've gotten hints that maybe Director of Cricket Miles Bascom is thinking this way. The best white ball players who want to play Test cricket, just pick them. So far, the only ones who have not showed up in the 4-day season, for good reason as well, is Pooran, Hetmeyer, and Rutherford. Everybody else who have IPL or PSL contracts have played a game or so. West Indies cricket is not in a position to nitpick and be technical about, this man has to play this amount of 4-day games. They have more money to make in the league system. So I'm hoping that there would have been a conversation with those guys who at least showed up for a game or 2 that, okay, before you go off to IPL or PSL, just play a 4-day game or 2 just to get yourself reacquainted with the format. And that should be enough. And so, and for the guys who may have performed in this 4-day season, they should have been told, okay, good performances, but when we pick you against South Africa A, that essentially is you got to perform there. Like, I don't think of, for example, Jason Mohammed. Like, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I've known Jason for a long time, but he played for West Indies. He was dropped because he did cut at the international level. So I'm very concerned that a guy at 37 years old is a leading run scorer in the 4-day season. Joshua De Silva, I was just at the West Indies press conference this morning, and I asked him straight up, what do you feel you have done better playing for Trinidad, coming back from being dropped in Pakistan? And he just said he just tried to blank out the noise and focus on himself. But I wouldn't ask Joshua this directly, but it's a question that is fair to ask. All the weaknesses that Joshua De Silva showed that got him dropped from the West Indies team. Does the 4-day competition have the bowlers to challenge his weakness? You know, because there's people talking about Joshua coming back into the West Indies team and being captain. Like, how crazy would that be for a man to get dropped for 2 tests ago, get recalled as captain? So the 4-day season is not helping West Indies cricket for Test cricket. So this is the time the selectors, or maybe this, let's say Darren Sammy, new slate, new World Test Championship cycle. Let's pick the best white ball players. West Indies have nothing to lose. If they fail, we can call them white ball players for life. But let's not make the mistake what we did 10 years ago of never picking Gale for Test again, Bravo, all these guys who were pencil white ball players. We caused that. Around the world, most teams would take a chance on a player like that. We just, in the Caribbean, we're just too conservative when it comes to selection. I'm hoping Sammy breaks that mold for the Australia series.
Well, you touched Sammy. I would have asked, being appointed the coach of all 3 formats, the Test, ODIs, and T20s, how good a model is that? In your view, would a model of just the Test coach and the white ball coach, 2 separate coaches, which one you think would really be most effective for us here in the West Indies?
I will touch the, I think it could work. Obviously, as you may remember, when West Indies got knocked out of the 2021 T20 World Cup in Australia, there was that big review with Brian Lara and former South Africa coach Mickey Arthur that actually championed West Indies having multi-format coaches and captains. As you may recall, Phil Simmons was the full-time coach for everything. So we've now moved to a situation where we've gone back to all-format coach. I don't have a fundamental issue with it, but I understand if people would say, okay, the job of being a West Indies coach is very time-consuming and very hectic, so you may want to do the split coach situation. And up until last year, I was quite happy with the idea of Sammy as white ball coach and Andre Kohli as Test coach. But again, it comes back to the point I just made, and I think I don't have any information that says this. This is just a suspicion. I have a feeling that Andre Kohli, due to I don't want to say any bad blood. I would never suggest that. I mean, Coach Kohli have a good relationship. I just don't know if he had the relationships with the white ball stars to get them involved in the testing. You know what I mean? Because if you look at prior statements before West Indies went to Pakistan, the director of cricket came out quite bluntly and said the way West Indies are picking the test team by labeling players white ball players is not helping. But we never heard Andre Kohli as coach himself give a view on that. So my suspicion is that Sammy probably already started the conversation with some of these players about playing Test cricket again. Hence why we saw at least a few of them in Holder, Chase, Kyle Mayers, Brandon Kim all show up before they went to the IPL and PSL. Russ and Chase as well. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence. Well, last season, many of them didn't play at all. Yes, I'm my bad. But to me, the only thing that is worth a little controversial is maybe Sammy having been a full selector. If people remember, the English already tried this and they had success with it. And I would always go back to I'm old, but I'm so young. I haven't got to age 40 yet, but 15 years in the Caribbean media, I've come in the game and we've always had selectors. At no point has the idea of a chairman and selectors worked. We've had legends from Clive Lloyd, Desmond Haynes recently. We had average former players in Courtney Brown. Well, I would not call Roger Harper average player, but include him as well, and the late Clyde Butts. So none of these guys, 10 years, people look back on and said was successful. So I'm saying I don't have an issue with Sammy having this power temporarily. If in a year's time it's not working, we go back to having the chairman and selector. Okay. But we can't act as if in the Caribbean we've had 15 years of success with a figurehead chairman and selector. The only issue is that with Sammy having all this power, even though cricket will rightfully highlight he has the assistance of scouts and talent IDs around the region, is that he can make a decision that will not be checked in by nobody, in the sense that, okay, other than the director of cricket maybe challenging him, if Sammy wants this player to play and don't want X player to play, they will not play. He can get all the advice he wants from the scouts and talent ID. He is still the final arbiter.
That has been some debate in St. Kitts and in Nevis, and as you would expect, as well as throughout the Caribbean. And at the end of the day, we just have to look at it, give it the time to work, because that's the model we have. And after whatever period, like you're saying, reassess it, and we either continue that direction as is, continue with some modifications, or we go back to another system. But the captaincy, especially of the test, and you made a good point, because that was my argument, but I even didn't reach there. My argument was, yes, De Silva, he is second or third in the runs, but Imlach has had 2 centuries and a few half centuries, as well as the incumbent West Indies test wicketkeeper. And the scores in Pakistan, a tough series on a tough pitch, 30s and 40s, 50s would have been tremendous batting, especially with the performances. So that is another question being asked here in St. Kitts. One, notwithstanding his performance, could he just walk back in the West Indies scheme as a keeper? And 2, would he be considered as a captain? Of course, Alzari Joseph, his name has been called by our local pundits, and Shea Hope. Persons are of the view that he may very well be the captain. What are your thoughts on him as a captain?
100%. Like, I spoke to Clive Lloyd a couple of days ago, well, last week's Tuesday.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM. St. Kitts and Nevis listens to
WINN FM 98.9.
WINN FM 98.9.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9. Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune into On the Ball, a weekly talk show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball. Thank you very much, Colin. And we will continue with the second part of that interview next week, God's Spear, as we are now at 22 minutes towards 9 o'clock. Time has really flied, poof, just like that, poof. And we want to bring some more information to you before we slip away. And on the local scene, we have basketball, the St. Kitts and Nevis Amateur Basketball Association. They are down to the semi-finals in the Youth League. As a matter of fact, the semi-finals are being played tonight. We had the Rams Sandy Point Futa Falcons, the number 1 seed, playing the ASCJ Hawks Junior, the number 4 seed. That game was played at 6:30 p.m. at the Dorset Park. We haven't had any reports on that as yet. And currently going on, the number 2 seed played the number 3 at 6:30. The number 2 seed is Youth and Sports Raiders versus the number 3 Rams Hitters. And the game, Sandy Point Futa Falcons, they are currently engaging with the ASCJ Hawks Junior in the semifinals. The winners will go through to the finals. And it's a best-of-3 finals where Game 1 will be played Saturday, the 12th April coming. Game 2 next week, Tuesday, the 15th. If necessary, Game 3 next week, Saturday. And all these games are being played at the Dorset Park. And we have the scores coming in from the first match that was played in the Division 1 tonight between KFC Challengers United and 607 Lodge Construction Patriots. Lodge, they're really having a torrid time. They've been living at the bottom of the table, and after this game, they are going to remain there because they lost that match 4-1. So they're going to be sticking on, just let me pull it up here. They're going to be sticking on 1 point. They're last in the table, number 10, because they have a goal difference of -32. Connery also have 1 point. Connery Fireballs, they have a goal difference of -24. And in terms of Trinity Challengers, they've gone up to 6 points, so they've jumped up above Rivers of Living Water for the time being, and we will have to see how that goes. And in the second game that is currently happening, Honda Newtown United versus Skellig Garden Hotspurs. That match should be in just about getting to the end of the first half, and we haven't had any reports for that as yet. In terms of cricket on the local scene, the St. Kitts Cricket Association's 40-over competition, that will be continuing, and we are down to the last set of matches. We have 4 matches left. Sunday 13th, that is Sunday coming up. 3 matches, all starting at 10 a.m. And La Poinciana versus Molyneux Keon. La Poinciana, the leaders, they are going to be playing at Molyneux. Sandy Point versus Young Guns at Sandy Point. And I like this, Newton Ground. they have been back in the fold. They have been a first-class match here by our local standards in our local league. First-class matches have been played there, to the matches. A long time we haven't played to the matches, as a matter of fact. But it's nice to see Newton Ground being back up and being used again by the Cricket Association. St. Paul's will be playing Police there. Next week, Sunday, there's just one match. Molyneux Keon versus St. Paul's, and that rounds off the regular season for the SKCA's 40-over league. Sunday, 27th April, semi-final 1 at Molyneux. Sunday, 27th April, also at 10 a.m., both matches. Semi-final 2 at Sandy Point. And the grand finals will be played on Sunday, 4th May. So we've touched on that. And cool and smooth cricket, that is going to be happening here in St. Kitts sometime in May. And it looks like they're going to be about 4 teams participating. 4 or 5 teams are going. 5 teams are going to be participating. Of course, the fixtures, they're not official as yet. They haven't been released. So we're going to get that to you in due course. And in terms of the Premier League, that has been completed. The round 7, that is, has been completed. And interesting how things are going. Security Forces, they are at the bottom. They are yet to win a game. So they are on a comb. They have a perfect record, losing all 7 games. And somehow they can't find the goal. I don't know what's happening. They haven't scored a goal. Mantab, they have 1 point in 9. Sandy Point, Jones Group Sandy Point, one of 2 teams on 7 points. They are in 8th. Their goal difference is -8. And while Bath United, their goal difference is just -2. So Bath is in 7th. MFCR, Montreal Farms, Old Road, Clean Rights, Old Road United Jets, they are on 11 points. In 6th, St. Peter's, we are seeing in 5th, Development Bank St. Peter's with 12 points. The defending champions and the President Cup champions, SL Horsford, St. Paul's United, they are on 13 points in 4th. And they have crept up from down in the 7th position. And was it last week or the week before? One of the big St. Paul's fans said they were a little further down and they won the championship last year. So I guess he was prefacing what is possibly going to be happening here. Sol Island Otto Connery, they are 3rd with 15 points. Rams Village Superstars, Connery and St. Paul's, along with Old Road, they have only lost 2 matches so far. St. Peter's, they have lost 3. So Connery have won 5, lost 2. They have 15 points in 3rd. Village Superstars, they have only lost 1 match. They are 2nd with 16 points. So they won 5 matches. They lost 1. They've drawn 1. Azul Keon Rockets, they are the only team yet to lose a point in the Premiership. They've won 6 matches and they've drawn 1. They are on 19 points. And in terms of the upcoming matches, in the Premiership, we have Friday the 11th, 8 p.m., Rams Village Superstars, who are in 2nd. They're going to be coming up against Development Bank St. Peter's in 5th. And Rams Village Superstars on 16 points. Development Bank St. Peter's on 12. On Saturday, 12, at 6 p.m., Jones Group Sandy Point in 8th with 7 points. They are going to be coming up against Montreal Farms, Clean Right United, Old Road Jets, who are 6th on 11 points. And then at 8 p.m., the feature game on Saturday, Mantab in 9th with 1 point. They are going to be tackling the leaders, Azul Keon Rockets, with 19 points. On Sunday, there will be a triple header, and that is Sunday 13th, because round 8 will be starting. This is round 8 for the Premier. Round 8 will be starting for the first division, first of a triple header on Sunday 13th. We are KFC Trinity Challengers. They're going to be coming up against Unicoma, the Cable Village Galaxy at 4 p.m. And then we are going to be having at 6 p.m. on Sunday, Elko Limited Security Forces, the Cellar Dwellers, without a point. They are going to be battling Tropical Blossoms Hot Springs Bath United, who are in 7th with 7 points. And just above them, then this feature game, we're going to have Soul Island Otto Connery, who are 3rd, locking horns with SL Horsford's St. Paul's United in 4th. That is perhaps the match of the weekend, that Connery St. Paul's match. I mean, St. Paul's, they were only able to give Mantab just 2-0 in the last game. But football, like anything, the sports, they are very interesting. And if we touched on cricket on the regional scene, and just by way of a reminder, 4 matches coming up. We're going to be having 2 Tuesday night matches, Leeward Island Hurricanes, and they are in the 4th position, Leeward Island Hurricanes. They have 92.1 points, and they are the only team who suffered a penalty, some penalty points. 2.5 points were deducted for them because of an overrate against the Windward Islands. So that is something that they will have to look at. The Leeward Islands in 4th with 92.1 points. They are coming up against the 3rd place, Barbados Pride, with 100 points at Warner Park, starting at 1 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, the 4th of April. Over in Antigua, Sir Vivian Richards at North Sound, another day-night match starting at 1 p.m., a pink ball match, as it is said. The West Indies Academy, who are 7th with 39.2 points, they're coming up against the Windward Island Volcanoes, who are 6th with 51.6 points. And we have over in Trinidad and Tobago at UWISPEC, the combined campuses and colleges, they are in 8th. The Cellar Dwellers, they have 35.2 points. They are battling the Jamaican Scorpions in 5th with 82.8 points. And the match of the round, the championship match, I suspect really, Trinidad and Tobago in 2nd with 105.4 points. They are battling it out with Guyana Harpy Eagles, the leaders, the defending champions, who are on 111.6 points. That is 6.2 points ahead. So just a little bit of wiggle room there. At this stage, Barbados, they have an outside chance. Once there's an outright victory in the Trinidad-Guyana match, that's the end of the story. Whoever wins, they are the champions. Even if there's a first innings, whoever gets first innings, they're the champions. 8 points for first innings plus bonus points. So Guyana Harpy Eagles are already in the lead. If they were to get 8 points, they go to 119. Barbados with an outright victory get to 116 with bonus points. Guyana Harpy Eagles will have the edge. If Trinidad and Tobago they were to get first innings points, Guyana Harpy Eagles will get 4 points plus bonus, so that's 115 plus. Barbados Pride winning will get 116 plus whatever bonus. However, if Trinidad and Tobago were to get first innings points, they'll go to 113. So that is the opening that Barbados is looking for. Hope that Trinidad and Tobago wins on first innings, or there's a no decision. If there's a no decision and Barbados Pride defeats the Leeward Islands, then they will be the champions. But guess what? I am not at all certain, let me be extremely cautious, that Barbados will defeat the Leeward Islands here at Warner Park. We've seen a lot of runs scored for the year so far, And I don't expect that to change. There have been 2 matches here. The Leewards versus Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago won first innings. The match was drawn, and then Leeward Islands versus Guyana. Leeward Islands won on first innings. That match was drawn. So it's likely that it's a drawn match with a first inning decision, which wouldn't serve the Barbados pride in any way. So we have to wait and see how that works out. And female cricket, we have the Women's World Cup qualifiers happening right now in Pakistan, and the West Indies, they are actually playing in the first warm-up match. Thailand, who are making their debut, they were 78, Pakistan 79 for 3, winning that match. Ireland versus the West Indies. Ireland were 248 for 8, and they won the toss and batted. To me, that's a good score for them, especially West Indies 252 for 5 from 41.5 overs. And if you look quickly at the performances of the Windies when the Irish batted, they had a 45, a 67, a 46, so not bad in terms of the bowling. Fourth change, Ayala Aline, she picked up 1 for 36. Fifth change, Hayley Matthews. She was the pick of the bowlers, 3 for 62 from 10. Afi Fletcher. Afi was actually the fourth change. She was 2 for 41 from 10. Karishma Ramharak, the fifth change, 2 for 36 from 9. And when the Windies batted, Hayley Matthew opening the batting, she got a half century. Almost, well, a little better than a run ball, 55 from 53 runs. Zaida James, her opening partner, she missed out on her half century. She was 47 from 73 balls. Stephanie Taylor ran out of runs. She was not out, 53 from 51 balls. And in the second, this match was on April 5th. That was on Saturday. And in the second warm-up match, the West Indies played. That was against Pakistan, the home team. And West Indies won that by 5 wickets Pakistan won that by 5 wickets with 23 balls remaining. West Indies, they batted first, 188 for 8 from the 50 overs. Pakistan were 192 for 5 from 46.1 overs. Looking at the West Indies batting, Shabika Ghaznavi, she ran out of balls. She was not out, getting a half century. Batting at number 6, she got a 68. And Ayla Aline, batting at 8, she was 41 from 50 balls. Shabika, 68 from 77 balls. And in terms of the bowling, wow, a Pakistani was 87 not out from 130 balls. And she was batting at number 3. And down, batting at number 7, Natalia Provise. She was 53 from 60. In terms of the bowling for the Windies, Elia Aline, third change, Afi Fletcher, fourth change, and Ashmi Monisa, they all picked up a wicket apiece. And in terms of the competition, West Indies, they will be playing Scotland, and the 6 teams playing are Bangladesh, Ireland, Pakistan, Scotland, Thailand, and the West Indies. And Thailand, they are making their debut. The first match is Pakistan versus Ireland, 12:30 a.m. So that's midnight our time on Wednesday the 9th. So that's tomorrow. And West Indies will also be playing Scotland at 12:30 a.m. on Wednesday the 9th as well. Thursday, Bangladesh, Thailand, Pakistan, Scotland, 12:30 our time. Ireland versus the West Indies, 12:30 on Friday the 11th. and West Indies Sunday. Saturday is a break. Sunday, Scotland, Thailand, Bangladesh, Ireland, and Monday, Pakistan, West Indies, 5 a.m. So it's not 12:30 a.m. It's 5 a.m. Tuesday the 15th, Ireland, Thailand, Bangladesh, Scotland. Thursday 17th, Bangladesh versus West Indies, back up to 12:30 a.m. and Pakistan, Thailand at 5 a.m. Friday the 18th, Ireland, Scotland. Saturday the 19th, Pakistan, Bangladesh at 12:30, and West Indies playing Thailand in the last match at 5 a.m. on Saturday the 19th of April. So that is how the things are working out for the women, and we say congratulations to them and best wishes. And we still have another minute and a half or thereabout, right, Mr. Producer? We jump over quickly to the IPL. Nicholas Pooran, he's actually leading number one on the leaderboard in terms of runs. He has 288 runs from 5 matches with 5 innings. He has 1 not out. His highest score is 87 not out. So his average is 72. His no century, 3 half centuries, 25 fours, 24 sixes. He's really beating that ball around. Mitchell Marsh, Australia, who is second, 265. Both of them playing for the same team, NSG. Marsh is 5 matches, 5 innings, highest score of 81, averaging 53, and he has 4 centuries, 28 fours, and 15 sixes. Surya Kumar Yadav, third, 199, 67, the highest score, 150, 24s, 8 sixes. Sai Sudasan, he is 4th. Josh Butler is 5th. Coley Down, the ladder, he is 8th with 164. Josh Butler is 7th with 166. And that is basically it. Shafin Rutherford, number 20, with 129 runs, with a high score of 46. Before we go to our closing stages, if you're celebrating birthday today, happy birthday, happy anniversary, congratulations if you achieved anything. If you celebrated between last week, Wednesday, and yesterday, happy belated birthday, happy belated anniversary. If you're celebrating between tomorrow, Thursday, and the next week, Monday, happy birthday in advance, happy anniversary in advance. Those of you who are going through a period of bereavement now, today, recently, we say condolences to you. We ask you to be strong, remembering the many good times that you had, you shared together, and you will forever cherish. You've been listening to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. We thank our 2 guests, Mr. Sam Spencer, chairman of the Leeward Islands Cricket Selectors, etc., and Mr. Colin Colin Benjamin, senior sports journalist from Trinidad and Tobago. We thank them for Colin being interviewed and Sam for calling in. And we thank you, the listeners. We say good night to Eusti, who has been there listening with us from the onset. Good night, Eusti. How are you? Hope you enjoyed the show and your usual, any recommendations, any critique in the show. And we thank you for listening. We thank you for watching. We invite you to tune in next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another edition of On the Ball. Before I leave, I have to encourage you to be patient when you are driving. Otherwise, you will become a patient, or it's worse. And you don't want that. I don't want that. We don't want that. So please be patient when you're driving. Don't drink and drive. Don't drive and drink. Respect the other vehicles on the road. Respect the pedestrians. Respect the persons on the side. Remember, the life you save may very well be your own. And after all, I admonish you to always be positive in your thoughts, in your words, and in your actions. Thank you for listening. Have a good night. See you next week. Godspeed. Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune into On the Ball, a weekly talk show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.